You know that friend who always says, I would have survived that horror movie? They're dead wrong. I've analyzed hundreds of horror films and found 10 monsters that you and your friends have absolutely zero chance of escaping. And the most deadly one isn't even what you're thinking, because most people wouldn't even see this killer coming. Look, I already know what you're thinking. No, not me. I'm built different. But Flapjack's here to tell you that you're not built different, and that if you don't hit the like and subscribe button, he's gonna come after you. Also, every single person that likes and subscribes, he'll get an extra pet on the head because he likes pets. He's a good boy. He's actually the monster that you wouldn't be able to escape. But let's start with number 10 on our list, Francisca from the Eyes of My Mother. If you haven't seen this messed up black and white nightmare fuel, let me break it down for you. Francisca is just your average girl next door. If the girl next door watched her mom get murdered as a kid, kept the killer chained up in her barn, and has a weird obsession with eyeballs. You know, nothing major, right? I can already hear some of you keyboard warriors typing, I would just run away the second I saw anything weird. Sure, Janice. The thing about Francisca is she doesn't look like a monster. She's not some 7-foot creature with claws like me. She's just a quiet, lonely woman who might offer you a cup of tea. I'm actually 6'2", by the way. I lied, sorry guys. And your survival instincts, they're programmed to be more afraid of the guy in a hockey mask than the soft-spoken lady offering you shelter when your car breaks down. Hey, SpongeBob, I've got good instincts though. You say between bites of that gas station hot dog that's definitely not gonna kill you later. The problem is Francisca operates in a completely isolated farmhouse. By the time you realize something's wrong, you're already trapped in her little murder playground that she's made for herself. And unlike most horror movie killers who just want to stab you and call it a day, Francisca has, hobbies. And for those who don't understand how isolated you would be, I grew up on a farm in the middle of Saskatchewan, Canada. My next door neighbor was about 3 kilometers away from me. And for my American friends that don't know what kilometers mean, too bad. See, Francisca doesn't want you dead. She wants you alive. She surgically removes people's eyes and vocal cords so they can't see or scream, then keeps them as pets. Flapjack, give me your eyes and vocal cords. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I love my dog. Nobody don't. Sometimes for even years. Let that sink in. While you're planning your escape, she's already got the scalpel ready to turn you into a living mannequin for her twisted little tea parties she's running. And let's be real, most of you couldn't find your way out of an IKEA, let alone escape from someone who knows exactly how to butcher a body. Francisca grew up watching her surgeon mother dissect cows. Your biology class frog dissection ain't gonna help you here, Chief. On the farm I grew up in, I had cows, and one time I went to this like science fair thing where they let you see like the inside of a cow's stomach. They had like a hole in the cow and you could put your hand in the cow's hole. Not like that. It was like in the stomach and you could like pull out the mulch of like the hay that they were eating. It was extremely weird. I used to want to be a vet as a kid and it was like a little science sort of thing they're doing. Anyways, you might be saying at this time, I would just fight back against her. With what? Your sick karate moves from that one class you took in 3rd grade? Francisca has experienced subduing full-grown adults. You're just another Tuesday for her. And even if you somehow managed to overpower her, the psychological damage she would inflict before you did overpower her would leave you broken. There's no winning against someone who literally bathes in bathtubs full of blood for comfort. The scariest part about Francisca isn't just what she does, it's how patient she is. She doesn't need to chase you through the woods. She'll wait until you're vulnerable, until you trust her, and then she'll make you wish that she just killed you quickly. So yeah, Mr. I'm built different. Against Francisca, you're just built like her next art project. If you think dealing with a lonely psychopath with surgical skills is terrifying, wait until your own house turns against you. Our next nightmare shows why sometimes the call is coming from inside the house. Literally. Number 9 is the house on Pine Street. And if you think you could survive this one, I'd love to bottle whatever delusional confidence you're drinking, because it would sell harder than someone's bathwater, which is kind of insane that people were selling their bathwater for like $200. Please, nobody comment. I'm not selling my bathwater. That's not gonna happen. I don't care how much you guys offer me. It will not be happening, because this movie isn't your standard creepy doll moves across the room haunting. This is psychological warfare with a side of supernatural activity that would have you questioning your own sanity within 48 hours. Here's the setup. Jennifer is a pregnant woman who moves into this house and starts experiencing freaky stuff. Doors opening, strange noises, the usual haunted house starter pack. But here's where things get truly messed up. Nobody believes her. Not her husband, not her mom, nobody. Well, that's easy, you might say, smugly sipping your energy drink that's slowly turning your insides into battery acid. I would just whip out my phone, record the ghost activity, and boom, evidence. Yeah, good luck with that plan, Spielberg. The entity in this house is smart enough to primarily manifest when Jennifer's alone. And on the rare occasion others are around during the paranormal moments, they rationalize it away faster than you making excuses for skipping leg day. The true horror of House on Pine Street isn't just the ghost, it's the gaslighting. And I should know, I'm an expert at it. Imagine experiencing terrifying things daily when everyone treats you like you're crazy. Your husband's giving you that, honey, did you take your meds look? Your mom's suggesting therapy, and meanwhile, you just saw a shadowy figure crawl across your ceiling. And before you hit me with, I would just move out, Jennifer tries that too. But when you're pregnant, broke, and everyone thinks you're having a mental breakdown, your options get real limited real quick. Plus, there's evidence the entity might be attached to Jennifer herself, not just the house. So good luck outrunning something that lives in your head, buddy. The most terrifying part about this haunting is how it erodes your sense of reality. You'd start doubting yourself too after weeks of being told that you're imagining things. Maybe that cabinet didn't really just open itself. Maybe I left it open. Maybe I am just stressed about the baby. And maybe I don't have a gambling problem because losing $5,000 a weekend at a casino is a normal thing for a 25-year-old to go through. Yeah, self-doubt strikes hard and it sucks. Even if you're the most mentally tough person watching this, which based on how you cry when your food delivery is 5 minutes late, is highly doubtful. Your resolve would crumble while you're sleep deprived, pregnant, and living in a house where lights flicker, furniture moves, and something keeps whispering your name. So no, Mr. I sleep with a baseball bat. You wouldn't survive this. Your bat can't hit something that might not even be physically there. Your brave face melts when a shadowy arm reaches out from the crawl space, and your plan to just ignore it falls apart when you're staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., wondering if that sound was the house settling or something crawling across your attic floor. If a haunted house sounds bad, wait until you're trapped in a house with actual devil worshippers. Our next nightmare makes babysitting the worst job since asbestos inspector, and that's a bad job. Coming in at number 8 is the House of the Devil, where the Ullmans prove that answering a help wanted ad can literally get you sacrificed to Satan. You know, I thought entry-level job postings were bad wanting 5 years of experience right out of college, but if I'm being real, probably selling my soul is easier than doing that. So I might just do that. This slow burn 80s throwback shows exactly why broke college students are the perfect horror victims and why you'd be just as dead as them. So here's the deal. Samantha needs cash for rent, so she takes a babysitting gig at a creepy mansion in the middle of nowhere, which is red flag number 1. When she arrives, plot twist, there's no baby, just a weird old lady she's supposed to watch. Yeah, that's red flags 2 through 17. Oh, I would never accept a job that's sketchy, claims the person who once bought pills from a guy named Sketchy Dave behind a Wendy's. But let's be real. When you're desperate for cash, your survival instincts take a backseat to your empty wallet. You absolutely would take that job, especially with the fat stack of cash they offer Samantha. Literally think about it like this. If I offer you $1,000 to do something that seems kind of normal and you're broke, are you taking that deal? Yeah, think about that. Let me know your comments down below. The genius of the Ullmans plan is its simplicity. They don't need elaborate traps or supernatural powers. They just need a desperate college student and a pizza. That's right, they drug her through delivery pizza. And don't tell me you wouldn't eat it. I've seen how you demolish day-old pizza that's been sitting on your counter all night. I'm not judging, I do it too, but don't tell me you wouldn't be fooled by a pizza. But I'm not that naive. You insist while continuing to click on emails telling you that you've won a free iPhone, because maybe, just maybe, this one is legit. Well, the Ullmans aren't wearing t-shirts that say Satan's #1 fans. They look like normal, wealthy old people, and normal, wealthy old people are basically invisible to our danger radar. When's the last time you saw a crime show about killer grandparents? Let's say you somehow did get suspicious though. The house is miles from anywhere. Your phone has no signal because it's the 80s anyway. I don't think they had cell phones back then or even regular phones. That's pretty much the prehistoric times if I'm being real with you. And your ride's already left. You're basically trapped from minute 1. Your escape plan depends entirely on outrunning or outfighting people who've been doing this for decades. And that's assuming you even realize what's happening before it's too late. The Ullmans are patient. They wait for a specific astronomical event, a full lunar eclipse, to perform their ritual. By the time you figure out you're in danger, you're already tied up in their basement with property of Satan written on your forehead. What makes the Ullmans truly terrifying is their sheer commitment. These aren't amateurs who'll give up when things get tough. They believe to their core that sacrificing you will grant them power from literal devil worship. Your I know karate moves aren't going to intimidate people who carve pentagrams into their floors and drink blood for fun instead of a margarita. Oh, and did I mention Mother, the grotesquely barely human figure who's part of their ritual? Yeah, you wouldn't be fighting normal humans. You'd be up against whatever the hell that thing is. Your plan to just fight back falls apart when facing a possible demon who's ready for her virgin sacrifice soup. Speaking of deadly beliefs, let's talk about what happens when you multiply that by an entire community. Our next nightmare shows why drinking the Kool-Aid isn't just a metaphor. Lucky number 7 on our countdown is the Sacrament. Remember Jonestown? Well, this movie basically asks, what if that happened now? now with cameras rolling, and you, my overconfident friend, would be chugging that poison punch right alongside everyone else, because this movie is brutal. The setup is simple but brutal. A group of Vice journalists visit Eden Parish, a remote commune led by a charismatic leader everyone calls Father. At first, it seems like paradise. People working together, no capitalism, no politics, just vibes. Honestly, sounds pretty good, but underneath, it's a nightmare of control, paranoia, and eventually, mass unaliving. I hate that we have to censor words like this, but basically everyone does the Roblox oof sound effect. Yeah. I would never join a cult, you say while following 12 different influencers who tell you what to eat, wear, and think. Sure, Janice, the terrifying reality is that cults don't recruit stupid people. They recruit normal folks during vulnerable moments. Lost your job, going through a breakup, feeling disconnected from society? Congratulations, you're prime cult material. You know what? Here's a fun mental test. Like this video right now if you are cult material. Watch this video get like 1 million likes because of that. I think almost everyone in our current age could easily fall into a cult. If any cult leaders are watching right now, I think now's your time to shine. Honestly, pop off, queen. Don't actually, but you know. What makes Father so dangerous isn't that he's obviously evil. It's that he's convincingly good. He speaks about equality, community, and escaping the broken outside world. His words hit differently after you've spent 3 hours doom scrolling through today's news. And admit it, part of you already fantasizes about ditching everything and living off grid. Oh, but I would see the red flags, you insist, despite ignoring 17 red flags in your last relationship. I'm looking at you. Eden Parish isolates you completely. It's in another country, surrounded by jungle with armed guards at the perimeter. Your escape plan falls apart when you realize you're literally in the middle of nowhere, with no phone, no transportation, and no idea which direction leads to civilization. And those guards aren't just there to be like little fancy macho men that you can look at and talk at. They've got guns. And you've got what exactly? Your strongly worded complaints? Your stellar Fortnite kill record? The moment you start acting suspicious, you're labeled a troublemaker. And troublemakers tend to disappear in places like Eden Parish. The most chilling part isn't the guns or the isolation. It's how they turn everyone against each other. Every community member is a potential informant. That friendly old lady who showed you around, well, she'll report your skeptical comments to Father. That kid playing nearby, he's been taught to spy on adults. You're being watched 24/7, and you'd never even know it. Then comes the final night. Father announces that they're coming for us, and the only way out is revolutionary Roblox oof sound effect times 500, if you get what I mean. Around you, loyal followers are nodding, crying, but accepting. Guards are handing out cups of poison. Your options: drink willingly, get forced to drink, or get shot trying to run. Those survival odds aren't looking great, Mr. I'm too smart for cults. What makes a Sacrament truly horrifying is that it happened in real life. Jim Jones convinced over 900 people to literally do this in 1978. These weren't all brainwashed fools either. They were ordinary people who followed a path that led them, step by tiny step, to their deaths. And you, with your TikTok attention span and desperate need to belong somewhere, just like me honestly, would be right there with them. But hey, at least in a cult, you get to choose your poison. In our next nightmare, that choice is made for you by majority vote. And trust me, nobody's voting for you to live. Kind of sounds like our political climate in 2025. Because number 6 on our list is Circle, which basically answers the question, what if aliens designed a deadly game of social media cancel culture? 50 strangers wake up standing in a circle, and every 2 minutes, they vote on who dies next. Only one person gets to survive. Spoiler alert, it wouldn't be you. Oh, but I'm likable, you protest while your own mother leaves your calls on voicemail. Honestly, that's not okay if she does that. You should probably go to therapy. Let's get real. Circle is human nature at its most raw. It's like high school cafeteria politics, but the losers get vaporized by alien death beams instead of just eating lunch in the bathroom. Here's how it works. Everyone silently votes by pointing at their choice. Most votes, zap, you're dead. No appeals, no second chances, just instant disintegration. And you can't abstain because if nobody gets voted out, someone dies randomly. Your whole survival strategy depends on convincing 49 strangers that you deserve to live more than they do. Oh, I would just form alliances, says the person who can't even coordinate a group dinner without 17 conflicting text messages. Well, in the movie Circle, alliances form fast. Old people band together, minorities stick with each other, physically strong make their own team. So what is your demographic? Cheeto dust enthusiast? Professional basement dweller? Yeah, good luck finding your tribe, buddy. The truly diabolical part is how quickly people find reasons to eliminate others. Too old? Vote them out. Annoying voice? Dead. I'm f***ed. Wearing the wrong color? Zapped. One guy gets eliminated because he has a man bun, for crying out loud. Let's be honest, with today's fashion choices, haircut, or that thing that you do with your face when you're thinking, you'd be early elimination fodder. Let's do some math even smooth-brained people like me can understand. Even if you were completely average in every way, not the oldest, youngest, loudest, quietest, or blah blah blah, you still have a 1 in 50 chance of survival. And buddy, based on the comments I see you guys leaving on recent videos, those odds drop to about 1 in 500. Well, I would just stay quiet and fly under the radar, you whisper as if your conflict avoidance strategy hasn't failed you in every group project since middle school. In circle, silence makes you suspicious. Talk too much, you're annoying. Make a solid argument, you're threatening. There's literally no perfect behavior that keeps you safe. The person who wins in circle isn't the strongest, smartest, or most deserving. It's the most manipulative backstabber who's willing to say anything to survive. Unless you're literally a sociopath who can fake empathy while plotting everyone's death, you're alien barbecue. And I already know I'm screwed. I've come to terms with that. I'm a sensitive boy. There's no way I'm surviving. Honestly, just take me out now. In the end, circle isn't just about aliens making humans kill each other. It's about how quickly we'll abandon our morals when our lives are at stake. The real horror is that most of us would become monsters if pushed, but you wouldn't even survive long enough to see your villain arc, buddy. You'd be eliminated in round 3 because someone didn't like your fit. But if alien death games sound rough, wait until you see what happens when a rural cult discovers you snooping around on their island. Our next nightmare makes family reunions look like a picnic. Number 5 on our death parade is Apostle, where director Gareth Evans shows us what happens when you mix religious fanatics, an imprisoned nature goddess, and more blood than a butcher shop during a power outage. This early 1900s nightmare would turn you into fertilizer faster than you can say, "I'd like to speak to the cult manager." This is one of my favorite movies that have came out in the last couple of years. And for the record, it is brutal. If you like having your brain in your head, don't watch this movie. Here's the setup though. It's 1905 and Thomas Richardson has infiltrated a remote Welsh island community to rescue his kidnapped sister. The island is run by Prophet Malcolm and his 2 equally messed up buddies who've imprisoned a literal goddess to make their crops grow. You know, totally normal Tuesday. Well, I would just blend in and spy on them, says the person who can't even order at Subway without having an existential crisis. Let's be clear, you with your awkward modern mannerisms and complete lack of early 1900s knowledge would stick out like a neon sign in this community. What's Instagram? Congratulations, you're already suspected of being an outsider. Even if you somehow managed to fake being a believer, the physical demands would break you within days. These people wake at dawn, work backbreaking labor in fields, and survive without electricity, plumbing, or DoorDash. Yeah, and if you're caught stepping out of line, Quinn, Malcolm's enforcer, has something special for you. A giant drill-like device that slowly turns you into human soup. Not to mention their other hobbies, like cutting a baby out of his own daughter and slitting the throat of other people. This guy is not fun to be around. Yeah. Your karate class from 4th grade won't save you from getting your skull cut open by religious zealots who genuinely believe they're doing God's work. I would just escape at night, whispers the directionally challenged viewer who gets lost in their own neighborhood without Google Maps. The island is surrounded by water, genius. Unless you're secretly Michael Phelps with a compass surgically implanted into your brain, you're not swimming to the mainland. And there's only one boat that comes and goes, heavily guarded by cult members. But wait, it gets worse. Remember that goddess I mentioned? Well, she's real, she's angry, and she has supernatural powers. So even if you somehow navigate the human threats, you've still got an ancient deity to contend with. Your plan to just be rational falls apart when you're facing something that literally controls the land, the plants, and possibly your mind. The most horrifying part of Apostle isn't just the cult, it's how completely trapped you are. Every inch of the island belongs to them. Every villager is watching. They control the food, water, shelter, and transportation, and they're more than willing to sacrifice you for their crops when the goddess demands more blood. Your modern survivalist fantasies mean nothing against people who've turned murder into a religious experience. Even Thomas, an actual trained fighter with military experience who knows what he's getting into, barely makes it out alive. And you think you would do better? Nah, I don't think so. So unless your resume includes experience infiltrating murderous cults and comfortable with deity confrontation, Apostle would be your last vacation, period. If you think dealing with one imprisoned goddess is bad, wait until you see what happens when amateur occultists try to summon something even bigger. Our next nightmare makes weekend Ouija board sessions look like child's play. Coming in at number 4 is A Dark Song, which proves that the most dangerous words in the English language are, "I found this ancient ritual on the internet." This claustrophobic nightmare would have you running for the exit before the first incantation, except there is no exit once you've started. Here's the deal. Sophia wants to contact her dead son, so she hires Joseph Solomon, a cranky occultist, to perform the Abramelin ritual. I don't know how to say that, which is a months-long ceremony to summon her guardian angel. The catch? Once they seal the house of salt, they can't leave until it's finished, or demons will tear them apart. Hope you didn't have any plans. Well, I could handle being stuck in a house for a few months, claims the person who got cabin fever after 3 days of rainy weather. Well, this isn't a Netflix binge weekend, my friend. The ritual requires absolute physical and mental discipline, fasting, sleep deprivation, ice baths, and drinking your own pee. Yes, pee. Still think you're built different? Well, even if you can handle the gross stuff, which I don't need to read the comments to know anything about that, you'd fail at the most basic requirements, following instructions perfectly. Solomon repeatedly emphasizes that every step must be done exactly right. You, who can't even follow a 5-ingredient recipe without improvising, would doom yourself within the first week. I would too. One time I put a pepperoni in a cake. I don't know why I did that. Then there's Solomon himself, possibly the worst roommate in horror history. He's abusive, alcoholic, and has zero patience for beginners. Imagine being trapped in a house with Gordon Ramsay, except instead of critiquing your souffle, he's screaming that your sloppy sigil drawing just invited a demon to eat your soul. Your fragile ego wouldn't survive day 3. Well, I would just do everything he says perfectly, insists the person who skips through YouTube tutorials and wonders why their project looks like abstract art. This ritual isn't just physically demanding. It requires complete honesty about your intentions. Sophia lies about wanting to contact her son when she actually wants revenge on his killers. This deception corrupts the entire ritual. And you're a walking deception. You can't even be honest with yourself about why you're still watching this video, which is probably because you're procrastinating something important. The entities in this ritual see through every lie, every hidden desire, and they'd sense your true intentions faster than your ex figured out you were texting someone else. When things inevitably go wrong, the demons that appear aren't your friendly Casper types. They're manifestations of pure suffering, crawling, contorted figures that physically and psychologically torture their victims. Your plan to just fight back falls apart when you're facing entities that can literally manipulate reality inside the house. The true horror of A Dark Song is that once you start, you're committed. There's no safe word, no timeout, no actually, I changed my mind. Breaking the salt barrier means certain death. Failing to complete the ritual means certain death. Having impure intentions means, you guessed it, certain death. It's the occult equivalent of signing a contract without reading the terms and conditions, except this one's written in blood. So unless you've got the patience of a monk, the honesty of a saint, and the bladder control to drink your own pee, A Dark Song would be your final performance, and the reviews would be killer. If messing with demonic forces sounds bad, wait and see what happens when you mix a global pandemic with a forced entity that wants to communicate using your body parts. Our next nightmare makes social distancing look like a walk in the park. Number 3 is In the Earth, Ben Wheatley's pandemic nightmare that'll make you grateful for your quarantine apartment. Set during a global health crisis, it follows a scientist heading into the forest to find his colleague. Spoiler alert, he finds way more than that. The setup is innocent enough. Martin, a scientist, and Alma, a park ranger, trek into the woods to reach a remote research site. Already I can hear you saying, I love hiking, I've got this. Sure, buddy. This isn't a casual nature walk. It's miles of dense forest during a pandemic with limited supplies. And yes, that means no toilet paper. You would probably be using poison ivy as toilet paper. First problem, the woods have other people. Bad people, like Zach. Zach, a survivalist who lives off-grid and, surprise, enjoys drugging strangers and using them for bizarre rituals. Your brilliant plan to fight him off hits a major snag when he drugs your food while pretending to help. Congratulations, you just got roofied by Wilderness Santa. I wouldn't accept food from strangers, claims the person who eats gas station sushi with an expired date, which is very brave. Even if you somehow avoided Zach's initial trap, you'd still face the basic survival challenges that would break you faster than your New Year's resolutions. No shoes, because they get stolen, no GPS, no signal, and no shelter, no clean water. When was the last time you went 24 hours without checking TikTok or Instagram, let alone survived in actual wilderness? Yeah. But wait, the forest itself is the biggest threat. The air is filled with hallucinogenic fungal spores that cause vivid, terrifying hallucinations. And before you hippies start saying, hell yeah, your brain would literally start short-circuiting and you'd lose your grip on reality. You ever tried to escape a cycle while tripping balls? It's not exactly a winning combination. Guys, please don't do any of this stuff. It's gonna fry your brain. I care about the youth. Don't do this stuff. That's my DARE program. If I was in charge of the DARE program, I would say, don't do meth. It'll mean death. Someone copyright that and put it on a t-shirt. Even if you somehow stumble upon Dr. Olivia's research camp, you're not safe. She's conducting mad scientist experiments to communicate with Parnan Feg. Who is this? Well, that's a force entity that might be nature itself. Her methods, blasting test subjects with synchronized light and sound until their brains basically melt. Your plan to reason with her falls apart when she straps you to a chair for her next scientific breakthrough. God, what is with the crazy people in this movie? Well, I would just avoid the weird stuff and stick to the trails, says the directly challenged viewer who gets lost in shopping malls. The entire forest is weird stuff. There's no safe zone. Between Zach's desire to sew you into animal guts as a sacrifice, Olivia's determination to use you as a research subject, and Parned Feg possibly being a sentient ecosystem that can control your mind, your survival chances are lower than your credit score. And mine, because mine's probably lower. I think it's like 300 last time I checked. They won't even let me use my credit card to buy a chicken nugget. It's pretty bad. The true horror of In the Earth is its perfect storm of threats. Pandemic isolation, wilderness dangers, human predators, and supernatural elements all working together to turn you into forest fertilizer. Your urban survival skills, which are ordering Uber Eats, Googling symptoms, and posting witty tweets, are utterly useless here. So unless you're secretly a combination of Bear Grylls, a pharmacologist who understands hallucinogens, and a martial arts expert with immunity to drugs, you'd just be another mysterious disappearance in those woods, and probably sewn inside a deer carcass. But if you are that person, what's up, dude? You sound like fun to hang out with. You want to like go get a couple brewskis sometime? I don't know. If forest entities sound rough, our next nightmare takes the battle to the one place you can never escape: your own dreams. Hope you weren't planning on sleeping anytime soon, which I know you are because most people watch this on their TV before bed. Good luck with this one. Number 2 on our countdown is the OG dream demon himself, it's Freddy Krueger. It's not Five Nights at Freddy's. It's Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street. This is the guy who turned falling asleep into a death sentence. And trust me, your beauty sleep would be your last sleep. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, purple. What is with the Five Nights at Freddy's? Why can't I get it out of my head? For the 3 people watching who somehow don't know Freddy, he's a child murderer who was burned alive by vengeful parents, then returned as a dream demon who kills teenagers in their sleep. When he kills you in your dreams, you die for real. And before you say, I don't dream, yes you do. You just don't remember them, much like you don't remember where you leave your keys every morning. Well, I would just stay awake, declares the person who needs 3 alarms to get up for work. The longest scientifically documented time a human has gone without sleep is 11 days, and that guy suffered severe hallucinations by day 3. You can barely stay awake through a Zoom meeting. Your plan to chug Red Bulls and slap yourself is cute, but completely useless. Even if you tried, your body would eventually force you into micro sleeps, which are seconds-long sleep episodes that happen involuntarily when you're exhausted. And guess what? Freddy only needs a second to turn your insides into outsides. Your brain isn't asking for permission when it needs sleep. It's telling you what's happening. It's the big dog in control. Well, I would just control my dreams. I've had lucid dreams before. Sure you have, Dream Warrior. That one time you realized you were dreaming and gave yourself the ability to fly for 3 seconds before waking up doesn't prepare you for Freddy. He's been killing people in dreams for decades. He literally invented nightmare manipulation while you were still wetting the bed. And while I was still wetting the bed, which was last Tuesday. Don't ask about it. It's like a sensitive topic. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it, okay? In Freddy's domain, reality is whatever he wants it to be. Stairs turn to mush, ceilings become floors, your childhood home becomes a death trap. He can appear anywhere, be anything, and knows your deepest fears better than your therapist. Your plan to just wake up falls apart when you're running down an endless hallway with legs made of jello. The most terrifying part, Freddy feeds on fear. The more scared you are, the stronger he gets. And don't lie to yourself. You'd be terrified. You jump at unexpected text message notifications. You get spooked by your own shadow. Against Freddy, your fear would turn him into a supercharged nightmare factory. Freddy doesn't just stab you and call it a day either. Just like me, who's reused this video idea probably 20 times now, he's creative. He turned one kid into a human puppet with his own tendons. He dragged another girl across the ceiling while her boyfriend watched helplessly. He also transformed a guy into a cockroach and squished him. Your death would be customized, horrific, and probably ironic based on your personality flaws. Mine would probably have something to do with talking too much. Well, I would research how to beat him. With what time? Remember, you can't sleep. Your ability to process information drops by 40% after one night without sleep. By day 3, you'd be hallucinating that your toaster is talking to you. It probably has a lot to say, so maybe you should talk to it. Good luck formulating a complex anti-dream demon strategy while your brain is essentially actually drunk. Even in the unlikely event you manage to put Freddy into the real world, which has worked exactly once, he's still a supernatural strong killer with a glove made of razors. Your plan to just punch him like Saitama would end with you looking like a human colander, which if you don't know what that is, Google it. This is what that looks like. So no, sleepy EP viewer, you wouldn't survive Freddy. None of us would. The basic human needs for sleep make him the perfect predator. Sweet dreams. Well, if you think dream demons are bad, before you head to bed, I've got one killer who is even more dangerous than Freddy. And now, our number one nightmare. The interdimensional entities from Banshee Chapter. Forget everything you think you know about horror monsters. These things don't just kill you. They don't just torture you, they wear you like a meat suit, and you have absolutely zero defense against them. Banshee Chapter connects fictional horror to something that actually happened. Project MK Ultra, where the government really did experiment with mind-altering drugs on unwitting subjects. In the film, a specific drug called DMT-19 acts like a radio antenna, broadcasting a signal that allows entities from another dimension to slide into our world. Just like people like sliding into DMs, the aliens are coming to slide into your brain. Well, I would just avoid taking experimental drugs, says the genius who once snorted crushed Smarties on a dare. Here's the problem. These entities aren't limited to just one method of transmission. Sure, DMT-19 is the express lane for interdimensional possession, but the film's ending reveals they can spread through simple physical contact. That handshake, that high five, that Tinder thing you did once that you regret a lot now because it ended up in a really bad amount of trauma that you should never do again, congrats. You're now harboring something from beyond reality. Unlike other threats that at least play by some rules, these shadow people operate completely outside the bounds of physical laws. They exist between dimensions, meaning your pathetic human senses can barely perceive them until it's too late. Your plan to fight back is like trying to punch a radio signal. Good luck with that. Muhammad can't hit what isn't their alley. The truly terrifying part is that you wouldn't even know you're infected until you're already gone. Victims hear strange broadcasts, experience time loss, and exhibit bizarre behavior before fully turning. And the kicker, there's no cure, no exorcism ritual, no specialized weapon that works. Once they've got you, you're just a walking puppet with something else pulling the strings. But I would recognize the symptoms and get help. Sure, Janice. The symptoms mimic psychosis and drug effects. You just assume you were having a bad day or blame it on that gas station sushi that you had earlier. By the time the black-eyed, not quite human version of you is staring in the mirror, the real you is already gone, trapped in a corner of your own mind while something else drives your body. What makes these entities the absolute worst is their motivation. They don't kill you for food or sport or revenge. They want to experience our world by wearing us like clothes. Imagine being conscious but completely paralyzed as something else uses your body, speaks with your voice, and mingles with your loved ones. Your family wouldn't even know you've been replaced. They just think that you're acting weird lately. And don't count on the government to save you, because let's be honest with yourselves. When has the government ever done anything positive? Remember, these things originated from government experiments. The authorities know about them and either can't stop them or don't want to. That's your tax dollars hard at work, everyone. You should be proud. The final nail in your survival coffin, though, these entities are spreading, person to person, hidden in plain sight. That weird guy on the subway, your overly friendly coworker who's usually kind of strange and awkward, your significant other who's been acting strange, any of them could be carrying these things already. The invasion isn't coming, it's already here. It's right behind you! No, I'm just joking. So, Mr. I'm Built Different against interdimensional entities that spread through touch, manipulate reality, possess without warning, and have no known weaknesses, your survival chance is exactly zero. Not almost zero, not very unlikely, mathematically, statistically, absolutely, perfectly, among us, zero. You're not special. You're not prepared. You're just future real estate for something that wants to wear you to the interdimensional prom. So there you have it. 10 horror movie monsters you would absolutely not survive. But if you really think you could survive any of those, and if you still think my dog Flapjack is cute, I want you to comment down below exactly how you'd survive each of these creatures. And if you've done that, I'll maybe respond if it's like a good idea. But if it's not, whatever. Make sure to like this video as well and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. And if you're not ready for bed, because let's be real, you probably aren't going to bed on time, you should just watch this video on screen now because it'll keep you up for another 30 minutes. Bye-bye!